Hey guys, welcome back. We are on part 3 here of the MT250 video series, trying to get this thing back in running order. Just a recap of the last video. If you watched, I had got the crank seal out on the left side behind the flywheel, which fought me like crazy, but it came out. And unfortunately, I put the new one that I had in and pushed it way too far down into this recession here. It should have been flush with the top, but there was a good 1/4 of an inch, maybe not that much, maybe 1/8 of an inch gap between the seal itself and the top here, so it was kind of riding on the bearing. So I had to pull it out and ruin it, and I was just waiting for the new one to come in, which it did. So I got that one ready to go on. This time I'm going to be a lot more careful. I'm going to kind of pop it in a little bit, and my plan is to, once that's in there snug, I'm going to take something that's a little bit softer and will not allow me to go further than the top part of this lip here. So I'm going to put the seal in and then put this piece of hockey tape over top of it and kind of hit this so that it will just butt up against the surface here. So I'm hoping that will at least get it in flush with the top there. So once that's in, I'm going to throw that all back together, put the flywheel back on, side cover, and move on to probably the rear end here. I'm going to pull the rear wheel off and get this brake situated. Try to get this all greased up in here, the little pivot arm, so that that works. And figure out the pedal up here as well. So I think it might have had all the parts I needed. It just wasn't tightened down all the way. So once I get that all together, we'll see if we can get the slop taken out of there. And then I'm going to dump out the rest of the, I have some metal rescue that's in here right now for a second soak after the vinegar, which got a good bit of it out, but there was still quite a bit flaking rust in there. So figured I'd let it soak another couple days since I was going to be waiting for that crank seal to come in and see how this works. So we'll dump this out and see what that looks like. Get the tank back on there, and we'll get it fired up too, I think, hopefully in this video, and go for another ride, or try to go for a ride. So first things first, though, we're going to work on this crank seal. So let's get at it. All right, I got everything cleaned off around this lip here. A little bit of corrosion on there from the previous crank seal, the original one. So while this was out, I kind of cleaned it up a little bit more. I'm going to put a little coating of grease on the new one on the outside here. And I'll also put some on the crankshaft and also on the inside of this here. Get that going as straight as possible before I start hitting on it. It's actually the same piece of PVC that I used on this originally when I hit it from here, pushing it in too far. So I'm hoping, since this has a flat, wider profile to it, just kind of tap that in and it'll evenly push down on that right up to the lip. So we're gonna try to do that. that's kind of, the rubber's kind of folding out there a little bit. I don't like that. All right, well, I'm gonna keep tapping here. It's already in, so it's flush all the way around. It's got a little bit more to go right on here. So I'm thinking I'll be all right. There was just a little bit of grease and some of the rubber on the outside that was kind of pushing its way out because it's such a tight fit there. So I just kind of peeled that away. It looks like it's looks like we're gonna be in good shape. It's pretty even all the way around. It's a little bit further in on this side, but I'm not gonna worry about that because it's still far enough away from that bearing. So let's pop on the stator flywheel and get this side buttoned up. Next up, flywheel. But first I gotta get that Woodruff key, and I'm gonna put a little bit of grease on there and just kind of put it in place on the shaft so that it'll stay in place as I slide the flywheel over top of that. All right, next the fun part, trying to get the Woodruff key to line up with the slot on the flywheel here. Let's see if I can get the light shined around it just right. We got that seated all the way down. Kind of tapped on it a little bit with a hammer, rubber hammer, just to make sure I don't have any kind of wiggle in there at all. So I think we're okay. Just gonna throw the bolt back on, or the nut, and just kind of give it a little bit of a snug, just to make sure I'm not gonna crank down on it too hard, and make sure that that meshes with the Woodruff key there. Now we got that on nice and snug. Throw the side cover back on here. All right, we're all buttoned up there. I just kind of kicked it over a few times just to make sure the flywheel wasn't hitting on anything here. I've seen sometimes where they stick out a little bit too far and you'll hear it hitting the side cover, but I'm not hearing that, so I think we're all good to go. And I'm gonna turn my attention over to the fuel tank again. I'm gonna dump out the metal rescue that's in here, and we'll get that bolted back up onto the bike too. Yeah, it's pretty black. Well, there's the rust that I filtered out of that when I dumped it out of the tank. So I got a good bit more out, which is good. And so I'm gonna dry out the inside of the tank and probably put some WD-40 or something in there just to keep it from flash rusting. And then I'll throw it on the bike and we'll get some fuel in it. Running a fuel filter, of course, too. All right, finally got the fuel tank all cleaned out and dried up and ready to put some gas in it. And I also have the fuel petcock rebuild kit all ready to go. Got all my correct O-rings and gaskets in. Got the little felt washers that go into the screws. And I think I'm about ready to put this together. We can throw this back on the bike, get some gas in it, and get it fired up again, see if there's any improvement with that crank seal on the left side at least. See if we still have that lean condition. So I'm gonna get this thrown together and we'll get it on the bike, get it back outside, and get it started up again. These are the old gaskets and O-rings and stuff that were in the in that petcock when I pulled it apart. So we're gonna throw this on here first. I'm just gonna clean these screws up just a little bit before I attach the petcock here. Alright, got my screws in there with the felt washers. And now it's just a matter of putting the screen in with the bore ring. Okay, now it's just a matter of throwing this all together. All right, feels pretty good. Once we get a little bit of gas in there, that'll loosen up just a hair. But I think we're ready to throw this back on the bike. Okay, got the fuel line hooked up, running a filter, obviously, because I'm sure there's still some junk in the tank that'll let loose after a little bit of fuel sloshing around in there. And just added a couple hose clamps here. So I'm gonna get this bike off the jack, get some oil in the crankcase, and we'll throw some gas in the tank. Hopefully nothing leaks here. Crossing my fingers, hoping there's no leaks here. Let's put a little fuel in and see what happens. Nothing so far. Let's turn this to on. Get any gas in there. There we go. Okay. Nothing yet. That's good. So I had to put reserve on because I didn't put enough gas in there for it to, go above the tube. So we'll leave it at that for now. Just kind of let that sit and make sure I got no leaks. Looks good. So this calls for just under a quart, and luckily that's all I have left in here, so that should be fine. I have a feeling though, I'm still probably gonna have to split this motor. So this oil's probably gonna be coming back out of here soon, but we'll see. All right, I'm gonna get this thing fired up again, and we'll see how bad she smokes, see if that lean condition's still there. And I'm fully anticipating that I'm gonna have to split the motor and do that other crank seal, but figure give it a try again one more time now that I got the fuel tank on, and just make sure nothing leaks there, and see how it runs now. So let's give it a go. I'm gonna guess I found a plug. Let's see what she looks like here. Oh yeah, that's all oiled up. Yep, let me clean that off. We'll give it another try, but it's looking like it's sucking down oil pretty good. But I'm gonna clean this off, give it one more try here. Okay, we got the plug all cleaned off. Throwing it back in here, and we'll see if I foul it again. If I do, I'm just gonna stop right there. I'm just kind of wasting time at this point, and might as well just get that crank seal replaced and over with. So yeah, I just pulled this out again, and it's pretty fouled over, covered in oil. So it's not even running as long as it was before. So my guess is when I replaced the left crank seal, I probably sealed it up even better to the point where it's sucking more more oil on the other side, and just found it out within a few seconds after running. Because before I could always let it run for a while, and it would smoke real bad, but the idle would climb, and you saw all the hallmarks of a lean condition. So it may have been sucking air to the point where it wasn't really pulling in the oil as strong as it is now. That's just a guess. I don't know if that's even how it works, but the fact that it's covered in oil after a few seconds of running is telling me that the other side is pulling even more oil now. So we're gonna get this motor out, and I'm gonna have to split the cases. All right, got the bike back inside. Plan of attack now is going to be to get that motor out of there. And first of all, though, I'm going to remove the fuel tank, exhaust, and all that stuff, get that out of the way. And I'm going to try to get the top end off first, just because those cylinders can be stubborn sometimes coming off. And I don't think this one's ever been apart, so I'm fully anticipating it to fight me left and right here. So I'm going to try to get that off first, so I can get some leverage on there while it's in the frame. And once that's out, hopefully it comes out, I'll just pull the bottom end out and move it over to the bench. Already got oil pouring out of the exhaust so you can get a good idea of how much it was sucking down there. I'm gonna crack these head bolts open here just to get the head off and see what kind of condition these studs are in. See if I can maybe get some lubricant down there, which will help this all slide off, hopefully. Well, those came loose without too much drama. That's good. Get these up and out of the way. All right, I got all 4 head bolts out. Gonna kind of lightly tap on this here. Maybe I'll just get the whole motor out, and that way I can lift the entire cylinder with the head off, because this thing just does not want to budge. I thought it was coming off, but looks like it's trying. I just don't want to hit on it too much. Well, after asking a friend of mine who's worked on these motors quite a bit, he pointed me out that I probably missed this bolt right here, and this nut, which I did. There's a little tiny, looks like a 10 millimeter that I had no idea was there. So I obviously got the big 4 bolts out, and didn't know that little one was there. So I'm gonna pull that out, and this should pop off now. I feel pretty stupid. Still wants to fight. So even removing that little nut on the top, I still can't get this thing to budge off of here. So I'm just gonna go along with what I was gonna do before. Since this is ready to lift off the entire cylinder, I'm just gonna pull the motor out, and we'll get this over on the bench and then pull the cylinder off. Slip the whole thing off over there because I can't do it right here because of the clearance without getting the head off. So just gonna pull it out, do it on the bench. Okay, we got the engine mount bolts out, except for this one right here. So I'm gonna try to slide that out while holding it up, and then wiggle the rest of the way out. Get this motor out of here. Okay, we got the motor out on the bench here. I think what I'm going to do is remove this side cover first, the right side, and try to pull off the drive bolt before I pull the head, just to loosen that up, because I don't want to have to worry about the piston flopping around when I'm trying to loosen that bolt up, or the nut. So I'm going to pull that side off. Probably going to have to pull the pump here, I think. And obviously the sprocket. We'll get this all off, and eventually pull the head completely. So I think I'm going to save that for the next video, guys. I don't want this to drag into the current one and make it way too long. So I'm probably going to have to do a little research before I dig into it too, just because first time I'm going to be splitting the cases on any motor I've ever worked on. So you'll have fun watching me wrestle with that. So any pointers ahead of time, if you guys watching are familiar with these motors or anything in general that might help me, I'm probably going to look for a puller. I think the tusk puller, or the splitter, I should say, has been recommended to me. But I've heard a lot of guys saying too that these come apart pretty easily. So I don't know. I'm going to maybe undo all the screws and see if I need a puller. I obviously don't want to force anything, so I'll I'll try the general route first, probably with a rubber mallet, and just tap on everything and see if it comes loose. But yeah, any pointers you guys can offer, leave them in the comments, please. That would help me out a lot. I do have the shop manual downloaded the PDF, so I'll probably end up printing off the pages related to the bond amend on this thing, or at least have my laptop handy nearby. So I'll have that, and yeah, we'll dig into the next video. So make sure you don't miss that. If you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell for the notification, so when you know I do drop that video, you'll get to see me wrestling with that, and we'll get it fixed up. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.